Alright, Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, before we get started, we'd like to give our praises, honor, and glory where it's due to.
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Chakwadash.
The warnings, as always, to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, apostles, bishops, elders of Great Millstone who are well. And to tell the truth, GMS Nashville brothers coming back at you again with another lesson. All through the Spirit, probably about Shimi Ashai, entitled "Even Through the Fire, Keep Pushing." So even through the fire, keep pushing, and the Lord one is edifying. Breaking bread, fellowshipping, getting the work in, especially on this what they call Independence Day, which when July 4th, 1776 happened, we were still in slavery, man. We were still captives. We didn't have no independence. We wasn't free. We were still in bondage. And to this day, really, we still in bondage, man. So, Lord one is edifying. So, even through the fire, keep pushing, man. So, anything that we go through, trials, tribulations, adversities, chastisements, when the Lord is, dealing and putting you through that fire, all you can do is keep pushing. You're going to keep pushing or you're going to fold. You got it.
Real slight.
Yeah, go ahead.
Romans 8:35. Who shall separate us from the love of Mashiach? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? And so nothing's going to move you, out the truth from serving the Lord if you really His. Right. Because I'm not saying us in this room or in the camp, but not everyone's teaching is actually of the Lord, which that will be proven very soon. And you see small inklings to this day by the way of what they teach, or either for filthy lucre's sake, self gain, or self glorification.
Yep.
But the main point is that nothing shall separate you, no matter.
So you got it. And keep going.
It says, as it is written, for thy sake we are killed all the day long. We are as sheep for the slaughter. And it says, nay, all these things we are more than conquerors through Him that loved us.
Yeah. So nay. In all these things, we're more than conquerors through Him that loves us, through Yahweh Shimi Ashai. As it says in Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Mashiach who strengthens me. So even when we're going through these things, because you're going to have instances where you're faced with tribulation, when you're faced with distress, faced with persecution, you're hungry, you're famine, sword, nakedness, you're in sin, you're going off, but you cannot allow these things to separate you from Yahweh Shimi Ashai. You can't allow it to attach to your skin, to your flesh, to your body, to your members, and allow it to bring you down into the depths of hell. You can't allow it to bring you down into darkness. You got to conquer it, man. And it said, nay, Apostle Paul said, nay, we are more than conquerors through Him that loved us. So we do all things through Mashiach who strengthened us, man, and we can get through all these things. We can continue to fight. We can continue to go through the fire, man, because we also know that the Lord isn't going to put too much on us that we can't handle. As it says in 1 Corinthians 10:13, but will with the temptation make for us to escape, that we may be able to bear it. Because when you go into that word bear, it goes into to endure, to fight, to keep pushing, to deal with it. As it says in Micah 7:9, I will bear indignation of the Lord because I have sinned against Him. We sinned against the Lord. We went off, so now the least we can do is go through this fire, man. As it says in Baruch 4:28, as it was your mind to go astray from your Most High, so be in return, seek Him 10 times more. This is the least to do. And even this isn't enough. But at the same time, it's all according to the Lord Yahweh Shimi and His mercy. I'm going to get that last verse real quick in that last two verses. Romans 8:38, for I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things what is to come. The RFID micro C hit, Jacob's trouble, persecution. So we can't allow the things that is coming upon the soul to separate us from the love of Yahweh Shimi Ashai. And if you do allow it to separate, as many people have done, then you're not one of His chosen. It's verse 39, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of the Most High, which is in Mashiach Yahweh our Lord. So we will not allow anything to separate us from the Lord Yahweh Shimi Ashai. Even through the fire, keep pushing, man. You got it.
I got something. Romans 3:23, it says, for all have sinned. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of the Most High. And so you're going to come short, you're gonna, not fall away, but we all have sinned. Starting with Adam on down, the Lord Himself. We were Solomon, King David, some of the most righteous men have sinned, and that's just part of the story. But the thing is that you don't let your sins weigh you down.
Exactly.
You just got to keep pushing through and keep hoping. And so verse 24 it says, being justified free by His grace through the redemption that is in Mashiach Yahushua. So that's the whole point of the Lord too, is that through Him, we receive grace and salvation. That's the whole point of Him passing, for the children of Israel, so that, we can be redeemed, because we need to be redeemed. And it says, whom the Most has set forth to be a propitiation through faith in His blood to declare His righteousness for the remission of sins that are past through the forbearance of the Most High. And so, hey, we need to be redeemed. And that's why we're doing this. You're going to have to keep pushing. Because really, us going through the fire is being tried, tested. The last test. You got to pass the last test, the final exam. And also, too, real quick, it said being justified freely, because it says the righteous are going to be blameless. Why? Because they didn't taint the doctrine of the Lord. They didn't taint the Lord's doctrine. They wasn't teaching for filthy lucre's sake. They went through persecution, hell, for my sake, and they stood. My bad. I was finna. Yep. Second Esdras 2 and 40. I'm gonna start at 40. 2 and 40. It says, "Take thy number, Zion, and shut up those of thine that are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the law of the Lord." It says, "The number of the children, the number of thy children whom thou longest for is fulfilled. But teach the power of the Lord, that thy people, which have been called from the beginning, may be hallowed." So we're called, Lord. Well, we are those men, but the elect are called from the beginning to go through this fire, to go through this, really to play a role in the story that the Lord had wrote. Coming up in the power, falling away, falling short of the glory of the Lord, but they kept pushing. It says, verse 42, "I, Esdras, saw upon the Mount Zion a great people whom I could not number, and they all praised the Lord with song. And in the midst of them there was a young man of a high stature, taller than all the rest, and upon every one of their heads He set crowns," because they kept pushing through the trials and tribulations of fire. And it's going to say it. And it says, "And upon every one of their heads He set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? He answers me, These be they, these be they that I put off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of God. Now are they crowned and receive palms." And it says, 2 more verses, "Then I said unto the angel, What young persons that crowneth them and giveth them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, It is the Son of God, whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord."
Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly. You got to stand stiffly for the name of the Lord. And key word when it said the name of the Lord. Yahweh, who the word ignorantly and incorrectly calls God, which means He is, He exists. And Yahweh Shai, who the word ignorantly and incorrectly calls Yahweh Shai, or like who ignorantly and incorrectly calls Jesus Christ, which His name Yahweh Shai means He delivers. Slip of the tongue, slag you for that. So you got to stand stiffly for the name of the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahshai real quick. And because if you don't stand stiffly, you're not going to be able to reign with Yahweh Shai, which it says what in Romans 8 verse 17.
Yeah.
And if sons, if children, then heirs, joint heirs with Hamashiach. And then it goes on to say, if so be that you suffer with Him. So you got to suffer with Yahweh Shem Yahshai, with Yahweh Shai, and the things that He went through, because He's not greater than His master. If the master goes through it, roughly paraphrasing, the servant got to go through it as well, man.
Yep.
So real quick, this is 2 Timothy, verse 12. I'm going to start at verse 11. It says, "It is a faithful saying, for if we be dead with Him, we shall also live with Him." So we're dead to this world, man. We're dead to the things that this society is presenting, uplifting, man. We don't want to be part of this place, man. Just as Yahweh said in that same John 15, I'm not of the world, just as ye are not of the world, man. So it says, verse 12, if we suffer, we shall also reign with him. If we deny him, he will also deny us. Or he also will deny us. So if you're not standing stiffly for the name of the Lord Yahweh Shai, then you're denying him. And then that means Yahweh Shai is going to deny you.
Yep.
So we got to suffer so that we can reign. I want to see what if that word deny goes into anything real quick. G720. Let's see if I'll play this.
Strong's G720 on
Nehemiah. And it says to deny someone, to disregard their own interests, or to, let me see, to deny, abnegate. What's abnegate mean?
Abnegate.
Abnegate. You know that?
I don't know.
To renounce, it says to renounce or reject something desired or valuable. And it's not Yahweh Shai desired and valuable. He's the most valuable individual in the universe, in creation, man. And you're denying him? So that's a good word, actually. Abnegate. Renounce or reject something desired or valuable. Because there's a lot of people in the position that we're in who would give their lives to be in the position that we in. To know the truth. To know Yahweh Shem Yahshua, to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, as it says in Matthew 13:11. To you it is given to know the mysteries, but unto them it is not given. People dream of this, man. And then you who know that you're an Israelite, you're just going to throw it away and cast Yahweh to the side? No, that's not how this works, man. Because you did that, now the Lord is going to deny you. It says also, abjure. Let's see what it says. Solemnly renounce. So you getting on your hands and knees saying, I hate you. I don't want to be with you. That's what you're basically saying when you're not standing stiffly. Because we all made, a covenant when we came into this truth, whether you know it or not.
Before that too.
Exactly.
Back thousands of years ago.
Exactly. But it also says not to accept, to reject, to refuse something offered. Yahweh Shem Yahshua, he's offering you life, man. He's offering you a way out. But you can't go through the fire. You might need to stay over there then. You got it.
Yep. And then also I'm gonna read this, but you said denying.
Yeah.
So 2 Timothy 3, I'm starting 1, says this, know also that in the last days perilous times shall come with the fire. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, holy, and all this is Israelites that's being named. The rest of the world, they heathens. So they're gonna have these characteristics, which a lot of them Jakes, you act like heathens.
And these are the ones also that couldn't endure the fire, couldn't endure the trials, the tribulations, the persecution. They gave in to their lust. They gave in to their desires. And they allowed their desires and their lust to fill them with darkness. And now they're a statistic now. This is them, man. Mm-hmm. And we don't want to be a part of this group, man. We don't want to be part of 2 Timothy 3.
And it says, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God. And it says, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away.
Mm-hmm. From such turn away. You got it.
No, just it says, but denying the power thereof. What's the power that they're denying? Yahweh Shem Yahshua.
Exactly.
And these are guys that either teach or well, I ain't gonna say that. But, you see different guys out there that have these characteristics, and they're out there teaching.
Filthy lucre's sake.
Yeah.
For the fame, for the glory to bring in. Because I think as you go into that, verse 6, it says, for of this sort are they which creep in the house and lead captive silly women, laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts. So they bring in as much women as they can. Because they know where the women is, that's where the money is. Because when a lot of the commercials and ads that you see, especially back in the day, it was centered around lipstick and getting shit for women and things that women like, because they know that women is the main consumer, man. They're the ones who's gonna buy the most shit. You deliver a package or something, or somebody orders something, and then you go to the door. Ah man, what wife order this time?
Yeah, every time.
It's every time, and it's not even in the movie. This is in real life, man.
Yeah.
You go, what? My wife orders. My wife got my debit card. You know, even in my family, my pops lets his woman do whatever. He gives her the paycheck. Cause he said, well, I don't want to handle my own money. Well, she's definitely going to handle it for you.
Yeah.
And he's told me that there's been instances where she has. And he's like, man, I don't know where my money. I said, well, because you gave it to the woman.
Yeah.
What do you think the woman's going to do? What the woman's going to do? And that's why these individuals are bringing in all these women. Shalom, brother. They all on the comment board. You don't see no women, posting scriptures and just comment board, man. You might get a, Shalom, Yabashim, Yashua, Barakthum, the water, and so on and so forth. But you're not going to get much more.
That's
but
right.
when you go to these other comment boards and these other comments, accounts,
Yeah.
the whole comments is just filled with women and all these emojis and shit.
And then the cash out comes on
Yeah.
the bottom.
Cash App comes.
I'm gonna support these brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what the main focus is with these other camps, and niggas do it too. The niggas on that, well, you
Yep.
call them niggas, they Israelites. Well, I mean, they don't get that shit together. How the Lord look at them?
Exactly.
How the Lord gonna look at them?
Because when you get in the NLT verse 6, it says, they are the kind who work their way into people's homes and win the confidence of vulnerable women who are burdened with the guilt of sin controlled by various desires.
Dang.
So these women, a lot of these women, they may, seem sincere, but, because they understand that in the world they may have like a 20, 30 body count, so now they feel guilty. But then here comes IUIC, you should feel guilty. The only way for you to do better is to do right by God and send us your money and
Marry you a brother.
Yeah, marry you a brother.
You gotta leave your husband.
Exactly. And that's adultery, man.
That's fine.
You caused that woman to go off, and the blood is going to be on your hands, man. These are individuals who couldn't go through the fire. They want to go through that straight gate. They wanted to go through the wide, as it says in John 10. They was going to come up some other way to enter into the kingdom, to enter into the mercy of Yahweh Shem Yahshai.
Yeah.
And instead of them receiving mercy, they're now likened as a thief and a robber.
Yeah.
They didn't keep pushing, man.
They're trying to go through Jesus too. That's
Exactly.
another thing.
We don't know the names.
No shit.
I serve the end God, the inward God.
Yeah. Come on now. So this is Revelation 3:11. It says, behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. And so, in the times to come, you don't want the Esau to take your crown. With the MOTB, that's another way of having your crown took.
Exactly.
Oh shit, I gotta take this, the seed of the chip. No you don't. The Lord provide. My family, what the Lord's gonna provide. This is the whole point. You bleed all this time. You're gonna let a little device, turn you away from the Lord, but ultimately, you were given over.
Exactly.
You was like that says in Jude, you was given over to condemnation. You was, appointed to come in to the truth to be destroyed. You don't want that. And you don't want that. But it was really signs that he was going to be destroyed anyway, because first off, we read how elected going to have the names. That's what's guiding them. It's the Lord. Starting with the names.
Exactly.
Because it says the name of the Lord is the righteous run into it, and they're safe. So that name is a heavy defense mechanism against, the world, the wiles of the devil. When you don't have that, which is the beginning of your foundation, your house is going to fall. You're going to fall. And so many are they're going to fall. And then what I had something in Romans 3 and let's see.
If I may, because you also said that you're going to allow that little device your life to separate you from Yahweh Shem Yahshai, which this isn't life. This isn't living. Because that's what it also said in that Romans 8 at the end. It said neither life nor death shall be able to separate us from the love of Yahweh Shem Yahshai. So not even our own life and the things that we have going on right now is not going to be able to separate us from Yahweh Shem Yahshai, and neither death. Because we can look at the generations of old and see it. I'm going to get that real quick. Sirach 2, Sirach 2 and verse 10. And it reads, look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon his name? So we can look at the generation of old and seeing that the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahshua was always with those who trusted in him. Who endured. There was another scripture I was thinking of, and I forget how it went, about how we can read the scriptures.
That's Romans 15.
We can read the scriptures and then if you can pull it, because I'm trying to.
Romans 15 and 1, no, 2. There might be 2. Hold on, I got a different version. My bad. Hold on. Romans 15. I get the King James version. Went to another version. All right, Romans 15 and I thought it was. Yeah, 4. It says, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
Yeah, so we can read the scriptures and see, okay, King David, or the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahshua was with David when King Saul at the time was trying to kill David.
Mm-hmm.
And then how the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahshua protected him. We can read how Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego got thrown in the fire, and the Lord was with them with that angel that was like unto the Son of Man, Yahweh Shai.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see how the Lord protected them and how they wasn't burnt, none of their clothes were seared, but the ones who threw them in there, they was burned and incinerated instantly.
Mm-hmm.
But the Lord kept those who trusted in Him. We can read these accounts, man, and believe in the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahshua and know that He will be with us in that time, and even if that costs you your life, man. Because everything is recorded, so the Lord sees everything that is happening. So if He sees that you gave your life up for this truth, man, then your name is going to be remembered, and the Lord will remember you. Just like the mother and her 7 sons,
Mm-hmm.
and how all of them denounced eating pork, and would rather serve the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahshua than to follow after unrighteousness.
Mm-hmm.
Their names are remembered, man. If their names wasn't, then it wouldn't have been wrote about, man.
Mm-hmm.
We can read these things and understand. Okay, every time that they went through some type of trials, tribulation, the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahshua was with them, man.
Susanna,
Exactly.
she was righteous with her husband. You know, the 2 priests wanted to, get at her.
Mm-hmm.
You should know what that means. And she was blamed. She was really blameless. The spirit of Daniel down and got that ass.
Yep.
Them 2 wicked priests, because they was doing that with the northern kingdom. That's what it said. They was doing that easy with the northern kingdom women.
Mm-hmm.
But with her, she was righteous.
Yeah.
So the Lord He ain't gonna forget your works.
Labor of love.
Yep.
Daniel.
Yep.
Daniel, when he was thrown into the lion dens twice.
Yeah, twice. Yep. Mm-hmm.
When Joseph didn't want to with Pharaoh's wife, even though she was trying to force him to,
Yeah.
and he got away, and then the Lord at the end made him the second next door.
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't Pharaoh's wife. It was the dude,
The guard's wife?
the dude he was serving at the time. It was his wife.
Oh.
I'm gonna look that. It wasn't Pharaoh's wife. It was sorry for that. It was the dude that he was serving at the time that bought him from those
Some of the Ishmaelites.
yeah, that bought him from the Ishmaelites. He was serving in their house,
Mm-hmm.
and the wife was trying to sleep with him, and he said no, and then he got thrown into prison. And then Pharaoh had a dream that nobody could interpret,
Mm-hmm.
and then they brought you read it, and then they brought Joseph, and he was able to interpret what was going on, which was going into the famine that was to come, and then Pharaoh made him the second.
Mm-hmm.
And then that, Lord raised him up, man. So we can read these accounts and know that as long as we doing what is required of us and we doing what we're supposed to do, the Lord's going to be with us as well, man.
Mm-hmm.
If we part of the elect. Got some. I'm going to look that up real quick.
This is Sirach 2 and 1 says, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. It says, set thy heart aright and endure and make not haste in the time of trouble. So we not going to make haste in time of trouble when the enemy come in like a flood. Because the Lord got you. Really, Yahushua, he didn't run. He fled. He disappeared. You know, a couple of times he got a little better. The Lord might have disappeared, you know, which that's part of, you know, you have spiritual powers, that's coming too. You know, but something we're not gonna have that, you're gonna have to go through it. You know? And it says, and it's all for the glorification of the Lord. Whatever you go through is so that the Lord can be glorified. Because he has to get glory first. It's been a long time since his name hasn't been feared.
Yep.
So
If I may, it was Joseph was serving Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard in Egypt.
oh, okay.
It says Joseph had been sold into slavery by his brothers and brought down to Egypt. Potiphar, an Egyptian officer of Pharaoh, bought him from the Ishmaelites.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph served faithfully in Potiphar's house, and Yahweh caused everything he did to prosper. Potiphar's wife tried to seduce Joseph, but he refused, saying, "How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against the Most High?" Genesis 39:9.
Mm-hmm.
After he repeatedly rejected her, So the woman, you got a woman who's constantly, you know, she might have looked good. She constantly trying to get at you. Sleep with me, I want you. And then it isn't just one or twice. This is repeatedly, man.
You know, telling she was like cold.
Exactly. It said after repeatedly rejected her, she falsely accused him of trying to assault her. Potiphar, hearing this, had Joseph thrown into the prison. So yeah, so he was serving Potiphar at the time after Potiphar had bought him from the Ishmaelites, which his brother sold him to. And then Joseph, he stood firm for Yahweh, for Yahweh. And then what happened? The Lord raised him up. He was able to reconnect with his brothers and then help his family out.
Yep, during the time with the family.
Exactly. So you got it.
Verse 3, it says, "Cleave unto him, and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at the last end." And Joseph, he was increased. Because
Exactly.
look at his status.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he went from being, part of
Slave.
someone, basically, yeah. But he had a higher status, then the Lord increased it.
Exactly.
Like, well, you're gonna be over the guard.
Exactly.
You know, you're gonna be right beside Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
You know, really Moses.
Yeah.
Moses was raised up. You know, because he grew up in Pharaoh's house.
Yep.
But he's like, man, these Hebrews, they're my brothers.
Yeah.
You know, so really he made himself like them. You know, and the Lord ended up raising him up again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for a greater purpose.
Yep.
You got it.
This is Hebrews 11 and verse going into Moses. Hebrews 11 and 24. By faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of the Most High than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. And ultimately, this is what these people are serving and what they're doing with the lust of the flesh, pride of life, everything that they want, they do. Adultery, eating pork, shrimp, crab, lobster, following after ungodliness. That's only for a season, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to last forever. What we're trying to do and what we're doing through the Supreme Power of Yahweh Shini Ashai is trying to obtain life, eternal life, man. And the only way to do that is to forsake this wicked world and to push through the straight gate, man. That's the only way out of here. That's the only option we have.
And I mean, it makes sense to get it right now because whether we the elect the 2/3, you know, in the kingdom, really that's what's coming next. Is a new world order of the law, statutes, and commandments being enforced upon the world and the people. So it makes sense to only get the shit, not the shit, it's like it only makes sense to get it right now. You know, that it just makes sense. It's either get it right now, or you get slaughtered.
You get in the kingdom.
Yeah, you get it in the kingdom. Be the last fruits. You ain't gonna be the first fruits. You're gonna be last. Everything's set up and built. You come through the nuts. Oh yeah. You know. Oh no, it's too late. I'm not too late, but you done missed the creation.
Yeah.
You know, you just now you gotta have a playback, a spiritual playback.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, oh damn. Well, what? Well, remember
Well,
you had
son.
opportunity.
Well, son, and then you put your hand on his shoulder, and then son. Well, this is what happened.
Alazar is
Yeah.
No.
Right. And then you run the playback, like from SpongeBob when they was watching that TV in there, and
Yeah.
Mr. Krabs sucked their vision what they seen on the TV back then. He said, "No, we're gonna put everything back in and show you what happened, man."
And that's how it's gonna be.
Yep.
You know, and then that's when that Daniel, what's it? Is it Daniel 4? No, I mean 12. There's some gonna wait till shame and everlasting contempt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're gonna be shameful because you're like, damn. You know, I was one of them guys out there teaching. You know, I didn't get right. You know, ultimately I wasn't the elect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but so that's what we fighting for. But yeah, I still got some more in this.
I got one more right here.
All right.
I'm gonna get in the NLT, Hebrews 11:26 in the NLT, the next verse. He thought it was better to suffer for the sake of Hamashiach, who owned the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking ahead to his great reward. And that's what we're looking ahead to. Our great reward, Lord willing, we're part of the elect, and we endure to the end, as it says in Matthew 24:13. He that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. We're not looking at this society. We're not looking at the treasures and the vanity of this world, but we're looking rather at what is to come. As it says in 2 Peter 3 and verse 13, for according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth and dwells righteousness. This is the promise of the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahshai. Therefore, we're going to seek it. We're going to store our treasures in heaven where moth and rust doth not corrupt.
We wanna be able. It's 2:00 in the morning. Our kids out playing in the streets of Jerusalem,
Yeah.
knowing that the angels, you know what I'm saying, watching over other brothers, you know, their family. Oh yeah, our kids over here. You know, we want that. That's real peace. The animals. You ain't gotta worry about no damn lions running around tearing shit up. Why? Because ain't no sin no more. Not for the nation of Israel.
Exactly.
Ain't no more what to say, the sting of death for sin.
Yeah.
Ain't no more.
1 Corinthians 15.
Yeah, ain't no more of that. You know, that's what we want. You know, to wake up, be able to, you know, see the world. It can be early in the morning, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
however. Man, we're going to go to what used to be called Germany.
Yeah.
You know, see the world. Oh, it used to be Australia.
Let's go to Neptune.
All that, different planets. Yeah, you know, to the depths of the sea.
Yeah, right, exactly.
All that. You know, the Amazon.
Let's make a new planet.
Yeah, make a new planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want to do all that.
Yep.
So that's what we fighting for. You know, us, we finally clean. You know?
Exactly.
So Sirach 2 and 4 says, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take it cheerfully, and be patient with our change to a lower state. And that lower state is really, the lower state doesn't stop. Whether you have a job, don't have a job. Right now, this is a lower state. You're going to get lower. You know, in the time of JT, for a moment. Just like how it says, wickedness is only for a season, for a time. Us with JT is only for a short time. Because best believe, with World War III power, to the full extent, the MOTB, all these different prophecies roll into one, the Lord will be here in no time. Not saying He's going to be here tomorrow, within an hour. It might not be, it might be 6 months, however long, the Lord's still going to make a way.
Yep.
And remember, this punishment, because it is a punishment, is for ultimately the wicked. The righteous are going to be tried, go through the same, but we're going to hope for the wise, like I said in 2 Ezra 7. They're not going to have no hope. You know?
Exactly.
Verse 5, it says, For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable man in the furnace of adversity.
Yep.
And so, you got it.
I was just gonna say, because like I said, you know, we're gonna be tried in the fire. Just as gold is tried to purify it, to get the dross off of it, to get the impurities out of it. Just as gold is tried, we tried, man. But this trial doesn't break the chosen; it proves it. So this is gonna prove us and bring us, you know, more men. The things that we go through within society, it makes us better men. It brings us to the Most High. And it brings us closer to a king-like and king-set mindset.
Yeah.
A king-like mindset, man. A kingdom mindset. This is what, when we go through these things, which ultimately we're going to have in the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And I got James 1 verse 12. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation. For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life. Endurance equals reward, man.
Mm-hmm.
So if you endure, you're going to receive a reward. If you don't endure, you're not going to receive a reward. Simple as that, man. You are going to receive a reward, but it's not going to be the one that you expect.
Or the wicked.
Exactly.
the reward of the wicked, which is ultimately that nuclear destruction. And it's really, it's levels to the shit. You know, you can be eaten by animals, humans, you know, because it's going to get bad. It's going to get real bad like that. They're already talking about different animals that they found, you know, that weigh this much. You know, it's a new species. You know, so ultimately, you don't want to fear their fire, because we don't. We don't want to be eaten and through what you niggas going to go through, because really you don't have to. You know, you can take the red pill. Y'all want to keep the blue pill.
Exactly.
You know, I stay asleep. Well, okay. Well, you already walking dead, because what it say? He that went out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead.
Yeah.
Roughly paraphrasing. You're going to remain in that congregation because really that's what you're appointed to. That's what you're ordained to be a part of. You know, which that's just part of the story. But yeah, you got some more? I don't feel like I'm just rambling or venting. Verse 6, it says, believe in him, he will help thee, order thy way right and trust in him. Ye that fear the Lord, wait for his mercy and go not aside, lest ye fall. And so you don't want to fall. Now a righteous man falleth 7 times and get right back up. Many guys fall and they came back up, or they don't want to. But you're going to have to keep falling and being brought up. That's just part of the story.
Exactly.
And remember, it's what we wanted, right? That's
Not
all.
gonna get it perfect.
Not. The Lord is perfect,
Exactly.
you know.
We know that once we get into the kingdom, we will be perfect.
Mhm.
So right now, we just got to do the best that we can with the situation that the Lord Yahweh has put us in. And that everything that we go through, as long as, you know, Lord, one part of the left, the Lord is going to get us through.
And that's part of the glorification too, because the enemy see how low we are. They see how they don't really think the Lord gonna do something for us. Now a lot of them niggas, they know, but about the prophecies and us fulfilling certain prophecies ourselves, being out there teaching, you know, they actually know who we are. They don't think the Lord is up, but when he do, you know, it's gonna be like a hit upside the head. Like, you know, these people, look what we did to them. They were brought low, and their power raised them up. What?
Yep, exactly.
We can't believe this. We thought we were going to be the new spiritual, no, what do you call it? Spiritual Israelites.
Yeah.
No, this is by blood.
Wisdom is on the too.
Yeah, this is by blood. You know, and so really this is also part of the glorification. Us being brought low and the Lord raising us up. So he going to receive the glorification first, and we going to get something via him and his son.
Exactly.
Though, bro.
You ain't got nothing else? So that's it, man. Just keep pushing, keep fighting. It's a good fight of faith, man, and endure it to the end, Lord willing. You know, Lord willing, we all do so we can all, you know, make it on that fathership and, you know, receive those crowns has been promised to us. So, you know, we're going to go through fire, we're going to do these things, but we just got to keep pushing, man, keep pushing. Just as Apostle recalls, your channel name is GMS, keep pushing. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the spirit, to the body, to the fold. And before we end it off, we'd like to give our praise, glory to where it's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Chakwadash. Born as always to the apostles, bishops, elders of Great Millstone, who are well and who taught the truth. Until next time, Shalom.
Shalom.